starting right off the top, this Wall Street Journal article. Did you guys see this? Now, two things to note. The first thing is that they talked to both Democrats and Republicans. The second thing to note is that the Biden defenders are trying to discredit the story because they talked to Republicans. So they're trying to act like because Republicans were included, that it's a smear job. But again, they talked to Democrats and Republicans. The Wall Street Journal piece says behind closed doors, Biden shows signs of slipping. They spoke to a lot of people, the Wall Street Journal did. And they said that the 81-year-old president has performed poorly at times. Pause right here. Let's go back to that interview, her interview, because they're fighting right now to get those, and by they, Republicans, trying to get those transcripts released, right? And what was said of Biden and his mental acuity as to why he couldn't stand trial? Kane, do you remember? What did they say about Biden? Why couldn't he stand trial?
He was an elderly man who had poor memory.
He had poor memory. He was not mentally fit to stand trial. Pretty amazing, right? So let's just pull that right in with this story. So you have this Wall Street Journal story, and they interviewed tons of people. They interviewed a bunch of people that serve in the Biden administration, work in the Biden administration. And they interviewed a lot of Democrat allies. They interviewed a lot of people for this. And so it's not like a partisan article, because they interviewed really a lot of people. It gets into what some of the Republicans have witnessed, but also a lot of Democrats that didn't really want to go on record because they don't want the retribution of having done so. So this is it's a very stunning piece, and it really goes into what her testimony, what he was saying behind closed doors with that. Remember, they also said that they had edited, if you remember this, they had edited the transcript that from Biden's testimony. Don't forget that. They had edited it. Now, remember what they said about the editing aspect of it. Do you guys remember? They said that they had taken out redundant phrases like and, if, the. Now, when you hear him speak, he will repeat things, and it has nothing to do with a stutter. He repeats things because he loses his train of thought and he just kind of rolls off, right? Why can't we hear the audio, not just the full transcript that was edited? Why can't we hear the audio of it? They want the tapes. Why can't we hear the audio of that? Because don't you think that's significant? There's one thing if you're editing things because somebody said, oh, and this happened, as opposed to, and then you edit it and said, and this happened. That happens a lot of time in newsprint. That's why you'll see not really so much parentheticals, but bracket ellipses. Some of the marks, it's to edit out some of the redundancy. I do that a lot on my newsletter. If I'm looking at a transcript and I'm quoting it, I may take like one conjunction or like one preposition if they're trying to emphasize a point. There's a difference in doing that and a difference in showcasing whether or not it is a mental acuity issue, particularly when you've heard him speak. I mean, my gosh, you saw the video that we played yesterday for you. That was toward the end of the show, right? That video that came out where he had given his remarks and he turned and he was kind of shuffling off the stage, and they were shouting questions at him, and they asked one particular question of him about Israel, and he stopped real weird, like right in front of the teleprompter, and he turned and looked like a man possessed. That's like a horror film. Kane says that old people aren't innocent. That's like a horror film where it's like the bad guy is like an elderly man and he's really a demon, right? It's totally like that. Kane, I felt you on that one. You're vindicated, I think, in that instant. Yeah. So there's a difference, right? Isn't there a difference? That's what I feel like we should know that, especially after they admitted to editing it. Now, here's the other reason why I feel like we need to have access to this, the recording of the testimony. Because, and let me tie this into the Hunter thing, because of what happened with the Hunter case. So the laptop has been entered into evidence. Do you guys remember the 80-something? How many, was it 80 some odd? How many, you had the two spy chiefs, both of whom compromised themselves under oath. You had all of these officials that were in the National Security Council, that were in CIA, that were in FBI, that all signed this giant letter saying that this laptop was Russian misinformation. And they knew it wasn't. In fact, one of them came out later and said, yeah, well, we knew it wasn't. We just did it. So the fact that they were so willingly ready to lie to us about that makes me completely positive that they would lie to us about this. You see what I'm saying? So, yes, you owe it to us. That's the problem of not being transparent and lying to the American public. You don't get to now keep things privileged. We don't trust you, and for damn good reason. So this Wall Street Journal piece, pretty stunning, because it was, even Mike Johnson was talking about this stuff. They talked to him. Lorraine says it was like 51. It was a herd of them. He had sat down with Mike Johnson talking about policy changes, and Johnson said that he had worried, and this is why, if you get the Substack newsletter, why it was a fake Time magazine cover. What does he remember? That's why it was the image that I included, because we were getting into this today. His memory had slipped, according to Johnson. Biden's memory had slipped, and I'm looking at the Wall Street Journal piece about details of his own policy. So, in a conversation with Speaker Johnson, Biden was struggling to remember his own policy. And they were having to cue him, oh, well, this happened, Mr. President. And then you had this. This was also an issue. They had to cue him on things, on his own policy, guys. His own policy. That's kind of a big deal. So they're freaking out about this right now because the polling was showing that, Americans are asking, what's happening with him? Why is he like this? Why is he not able to remember anything? Why does he seem so antagonistic? Golly, I haven't even touched on the Time magazine interview. Jiminy Christmas. Guys, we're going to have to jump into this too. The Time magazine interview that he gave, holy cow. He challenged the reporter to a fight, apparently, and it got really bad. It got really bad. He said, quote, that he was asked, large majorities of Americans, including the Democratic Party, tell pollsters they think you're too old to lead. Can you really do this job as an 85-year-old man? Biden says this, quote, I can do it better than anybody you know. You're looking at me. I can take you too. So wait, you can't challenge the president to fight you because the Secret Service will get involved, but he can challenge you.
Yeah. What if you accept? Can you accept?
Yeah, can you accept it? Could the reporter go, okay, I'm your Huckleberry. Can he do that? Or is Secret Service no? I'm just wondering. I'm just asking a question we're all thinking about.